if you could leadership structure all the churches in the world,
Oh God.
what would you do?
Okay. So this
because I've heard from Catholics, because they believe that we're all out of them. Like they're the church.
right, sure.
I've heard from Catholics that wish that Reformation, or what is that what it's
Reformation.
called? That Reformation, they are, like, I've heard that they're not mad that happened,
Mm-hmm.
but they wish that the churches just didn't break away
Sure.
and had fought within the system
yeah.
instead of
Right.
saying, peace out. And so I've heard that before. So if you, that seems like the structure that they wish things would go back to.
Uh-huh.
But what would you rather it go back to
But I think
or go to?
here's the problem.
Okay.
Okay. What ended up happening, and the reason the Reformation was needed was because power had led to corruption.
Okay.
And so there was corruption among all layers of leadership in the Catholic Church. Now, I'm not saying
Okay.
every leader was corrupt. I'm just
Right.
saying that corruption hit every tier of that.
Okay.
And whether that was the selling of indulgences, whether that was the Pope's,
Wait, what? What does that mean?
selling of indulgences,
Yeah.
like selling of indulgences were what were given to people so that they could be forgiven.
Oh.
So priests were selling
Oh.
forgiveness.
Okay.
You had to pay for it.
Cool.
Yeah, not cool.
Okay.
Hence the Reformation.
Everybody
And-
hit the communion vending machine.
And so there was
Okay.
corruption among the priests. There was corruption among the leaders above that. There were corruption among the Pope. The corruption,
Not the Pope.
even the Pope.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. And so there's all this, and I think that's kind of human nature in a lot of ways.
Yes.
And I think human nature, just as for whatever reason, it's like it goes all the way back to Babel. Remember in Genesis 11, they were trying to build the Tower of
Mhm.
Babel, and they were like, we're going to build this massive thing,
Yeah.
and we're going to reach the heavens.
Yeah.
And I feel like we in the church even do the same thing. If we can just build this massive thing, like it's almost like that's of greater value than the small things.
Then the people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like for me, I guess I look at it and go, yes, I think there's a reason that, it broke away. And it's because we, in these large, massive, whether it's Catholic Church or even the denominations, I mean, just in the last, 60 years, I mean, almost every mainline denomination in the United States has splintered.
Yeah.
Presbyterian Church has, the Episcopal Church has, Methodist Church has. And so they've all divided. They've all split. And I just don't think church was made to be these massively large organizations.
So you're saying that I guess Constantine made this massive church thing into an organization, and we've just been splitting from there ever since.
We've been having issues from there ever since. Yeah. I mean, because the first split wasn't even with the Protestant Reformation.
Right.
I mean, like the Greek Orthodox Church split.
Before Protestants did.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
from Catholics.
From the Catholic.
And we're all talking about down from Catholics.
Yeah.
Like, we're all still Christians down from Catholics.
Right.
Okay.
And so, because, and I do think, because like, for example, if anyone had the right to assert himself as a pope over all these cities or congregations, or all these congregations in all these various cities, it was Paul. Paul had been to all these places.
Right.
And if anyone had the right to assert himself and demand something, it was Paul. And Paul didn't do any of that, in the sense of he didn't demand that they pay him. He didn't demand that they accept him as the apostle to their church.
Okay.
He sometimes he'd even plead for them to, but he didn't demand it. Now, he didn't plead for them to pay him, but
so he could have poped right then.
you would have thought if anyone could have, it would have been him.
Okay.
And he didn't. And rather, he was starting these local churches. And like he's telling Timothy, hey, Timothy, set in elders in all these churches and find faithful men that you can teach that can pass down what has been passed on to you.
Okay.
And I think to me, that's more of the natural, organic nature that the church should have.
Okay.
That we should be locally autonomous in the sense of we're not being told what to do or where our pastor's going to come from or whatever by these massive organization, but rather we're locally autonomous and we're able to, there should have been this continuing passing on of what had been passed down. And because it didn't have to, I don't think it ever had to go to the state that it went to with the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have continued to be organic throughout, and we would have been completely okay.
So you're saying that we should go to all these denominational churches and just start sowing division
I'm not saying that at all.
and pointing at other people and being like, they disagree theologically with you.
No.
See that building across the street?
Right.
Yeah.
No. We're not supposed to go in and start causing chaos.
Okay.
No. But you're just asking me for ideal world.
Yeah.
Ideal world for me would be that we would have elders in
Mhm.
every church that were helping to lead that church. And
But to get there, we'd have to split a lot of stuff up.
oh, sure.
Not like actively, but
Right.
So you're saying that all the church splits I went through as a child were really good?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of church splits you went through, so I won't speak to
We went
whether
to
they were
church
good or
splits
not.
where the pastor, was,
doing
getting around more than
doing something.
doing
Yeah.
something.
He was up to something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there was division.
Right. Yeah, and unfortunately that happens a lot too.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I think, and this will be my last point, I think that it also prevents an abuse of power.
Okay.
And I honest to God don't even think it's just the organizations that should remain small. I think churches should remain smaller.
Okay.
Like, I think when we're getting up into mid 100s and above that, or probably even a few hundred people and above that in attendance wise in a local church.
Uh-huh.
I think that is you start developing the same problems that you have in a larger organizational as well.
Okay.
So I think that's why plurality of elders in a local church setting, and then we should keep, if we're growing, plant churches out of that and keep multiplying instead of it having to be let's look at this massive, huge organization that we can build. Because I think it's the same kind of pride and sometimes it's just being a desire that for whatever reason is in fallen man and fallen humanity that goes all the way back to Genesis 11. Let's build the biggest thing.
Okay.
And I think we're just, for whatever reason, there's a wiring in us for that. And it's not always healthy.